Hey everyone, this is Matt, and today I'll be going over my experience playing at locals yesterday on Saturday, November 6th. So I went to locals to play Dark Magician for the first time in a while. The first time I started going to locals, I played Dark Magician, and I did surprisingly well there. And then, like later on, after some time, I started playing Subterror. So I had my Subterror deck, and with my Subterror deck, I've been consistently getting top 4 or higher. The last time I played Subterror, I actually top 2'd, where like I got to finals and my opponent just said, let's just not play and split the prize, which I was totally okay with because I had already played that opponent previously in the tournament through the round of Swiss. But anyway, so this is the first time that in a while that I've taken Dark Magician deck to locals. Um, and basically, rather than taking the deck profile that I had before, which I already knew was pretty solid, I decided to use this locals to do some testing. So what I did was I um, took a look at my deck profile that I had before, and I made a few adjustments in it to basically adapt some of the stuff that lows on other Dark Magician decks profiles talked about. So what do I mean by that? All right, so here's my deck profile, the one that I showcased before with the Gozen match update, right? So what I ended up doing was I modified this deck to basically include. So here's what it ended up looking like. Basically include the Dogmatika package, right? So here I have Ecclesia, Fleur de Lis, Nadir Servants, and the single copy of Punishment with, of course, Titaniclad, one Entis in the extra deck. Um, and then I also got inspired and just, out of curiosity, saw that Ryan video where he ran the Shaddoll package. So I have the one copy of Schism here with Winda and Apkalone in the extra deck. So this is the deck profile that I ran at locals. And um, I ended up moving one of my Solemn Judgments to the side deck so that I can fit all this and have the two Gozen match in my main deck. Um, yeah, and then if you'll notice in the side deck, I no longer have Raigeki Dark Holes because, really Dark Ruler no more, canceling all their monster effects, like, and then hopefully allowing me to play just combo off means I can still clear the board even without Raigeki Dark Hole. So, yeah, I thought, like, of the side deck cards I had, the best ones to cut were Raigeki Dark Hole. All right, anyway, so yeah, so let's talk about impressions and feelings that I got. So let's go over how the format of my local. So we had about 28 to 32 players. I was like number 25 to register. I don't know exactly how many total players there were. I didn't actually see the number. So we played Swiss format, 5 rounds with top 8 going to elimination round. So the prizes this week were actually better than normal. Like the prizes are usually not that good at my locals. So first place gets 2 boxes of Burst of Destiny. Second place gets 1 box. Third and fourth place get 6 packs, and then fifth through 8 get 3 packs. So this is new because usually only top 4 get prizes at my locals. And of course, top 3 and fourth prizes are usually pretty bad. Like one time when I got top 4, I got 1 pack of Lightning Overdrive. Right, like it's um, yeah, it's not great. But for some reason this week, like there were a lot more prizes, and even fifth and eighth place got like 3 packs, right? Like not bad. All right. So the decks that I saw, not the decks I played against, but the decks that I saw, because usually when you, let's say you finish playing your game early before, we had 45-minute time limit for the rounds for each match. You finish playing early. I get up, I walk around, I see other people playing, right? And then it's good to scout other people in decks so that I can know what I'm looking for and like what to prepare for. So what I saw at least 2 Tri-Brigades. So these tildes here mean that these are about, this is what I saw, but there may have been more that I wasn't aware of, right? And then down here, like these last 2 decks, were certainties for me. All right, so 2 Tri-Brigades. One of them had the Melfi, was a Melfi variant, so it had like the Melfi engine in it. I'm not too familiar with that, but I just feel like it's just worse than like Zodiac. two Swordsoul decks. I'm surprised I only saw two Swordsoul decks. I did play one of them, and I'll get into how that went later. But only two Swordsoul decks was pretty surprising considering this was the first uh, tournament where Burst Destiny was legal. One Virtual World deck. I saw at least four Sky Strikers running the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So that was the biggest surprise to me. Like I was not expecting to see as many Sky Strikers as I did. I played two of them. Like it was definitely the biggest like showing that I saw from Sky Striker. I saw two Eldlich trap decks, one Mech Knights, three Speedroids. This was another surprise. I was surprised how many Speedroids I saw, but um, yeah, because Speedroid got a lot of support through the recent Synchrostorm set, so that's probably why like a lot of players were inspired to play it. But yeah, I was not expecting to see. There was at least three Speedroids. There might have been more. Two Drytron, one of which had Destroyer Phoenix variant. I think the other one still ran Dragoon. Um, but yeah, normally Drytrons are not that common at my locals. Like once in a while you see a Drytron, it's not as common as you would expect. Uh, but yeah, this time there was at least two. There were at least two Salamangreat decks. LOL playing Salamangreats in 2021. It's pretty funny. I saw one Phantom Knights that ran Destroyer Phoenix rather than Dragoon. I only saw one Dragon Link. There may have been more, but usually my locals has a lot of Dragon Links. Like the previous time I went to my locals, I played Subterror. I got top two, and there were like 4 or 5 Dragon Links. And the time before that, I got top four playing Subterror, and yeah, there was like uh, at least 3 or 4 Dragon Links. There's like Dragon Link is usually very popular at my locals, but didn't really see it yesterday. I didn't play any Dragon Links, and there was only one that I saw like that. I mean, there might have been a second one, but yeah, definitely an undershowing of Dragon Links at my locals. Um, yeah, I guess like a lot of people were opting to play Sky Striker, Destroyer, Phoenix instead. Um, one Infinitrack Machina, so I have a bullet point here, not a tilde, because yeah, there's one guy at my locals who always plays Infinitrack Machina. In fact, he's top 4'd with it before. He's top 2'd with it before. Like, he's very dedicated. Like, he's like the one Infinitrack Machina player at my locals that everyone knows about. And then, of course, the one Dark Magician. I'm sort of known at my locals as being the Dark Magician player, but because I did play it for a long time. But then when I switched to Subterror, people like started associating Subterror with me because there was another Subterror player who ran Eldlich Subterror, which I think is like janky. Like I don't think it's good. Whereas I played Subterror with Dragoon, like which is way better than Eldlich in my opinion. But yeah, this time I finally came back playing Dark Magician with the Dogmatika and the Shaddoll engine that I showed. So let's go over the Swiss rounds. So match, I've talked about some of these rounds already on the Discord. Match 1, I played Swordsoul. I lost a die roll and went second both games. So I actually 2-0'd, which is very funny because they got the board that they wanted, right? They got Chi Shao, which has a monster negate interrupt, and they got Baron Lafleur, which is another Omni negate. I was able to play through that same board both games, and the MVP card of this match was definitely Gozen match. So I mentioned in my Gozen match video that I wanted to start running Gozen match because of Swordsoul, right? Obviously the Philander is too, but like, yeah, Gozen match was the MVP, and it's funny because like I went second, right? So he set up his board while I had Gozen match in my hand, right? So how was I able to win? So I was able to win because basically like in both games I opened Gozen match in my hand, right? And then I forget exactly. Game 1 was less memorable, but he went first. He established his board. I set Gozen match. I think. Oh yeah. I opened Schism that game, and I remember thinking, oh wow, this is a total brick. I can't use this at all. So I opened like Gozen match, Schism, and one of the Solemn cards, I want to say, and then like something else. I forget what the rest was. Maybe Dark Magical Circle. I forget. But yeah, so I set Gozen match. I set Schism. And I try, and so I pass to them. So then I try to use Flip Schism to force the negate out of Baron Lafleur because Baron Lafleur's negate is a once per while it's on the field. It's not once per turn. So once you get the negate out, it can't negate anymore unless it leaves the field. Yeah, so Schism was useless, but it was just like a bait. I flipped it to try to bait the Baron Lafleur negate. They did not fall for it, and then I flipped Gozen match to try to clear their field, and then that's when they used the Baron Lafleur negate. So I did bait the Baron Lafleur negate with Gozen match, so he didn't no longer have to negate, and then they attacked into me like 5,800 damage, and then on the following turn I Red Eyes Fusion. Why? Because so I wanted I'm not gonna play into if I know they have the negate. I'm not gonna try to play into Dragoon if they can just stop it. So I purposely like try to bait out the negate with Schism Gozen match. Gozen match succeeded to that because he knew like that he was gonna be he was gonna be done if I did Gozen match, and then I had Red Eyes Fusion on the following turn. And then Dragoon clears, does 5,800 damage, and attacks 3,000 game. Game 1 done, right? Alright, so then second game, I had a slightly better opening. I had in my hand Dark Magical Circle. I had Solemn Strike. I had Red Eyes Fusion, Gozen match, and I want to say one more card. I forget one other card. It's not important. It might have been Magical Eyes Fusion. Who knows? But yeah. So Dark Magical Circle, Red Eyes Fusion, Solemn Strike, and then Gozen match. That was my. Oh, I think I had Skill Drain too. Maybe. Yeah, but Gozen match was still the MVP. Or maybe it was Dogmatika Punishment. Whatever. The point is, I went second. He set up his board. Chi and Baron Lafleur. My turn. I set Gozen match, Skill Drain, Solemn Strike. I activated Dark Magical Circle, and funny enough, he used Ash Blossom to stop my Dark Magical Circle. So yeah, that was hilarious. So this baited out Ash, which is good because I had Red Eyes Fusion in hand, and I was gonna wait to bait out Baron Lafleur's negate, and then use Red Eyes on the following turn. So even though like people say, oh, Solemn Strike is a trap, it's no good going second. Actually, it's great going second because you can set up Solemn Strike to clear their board on the third and fourth turn, right? Because you can, pop an important back row like Gozen match and then Solemn Strike. So I set Gozen match, Solemn Strike, and I think it was Skill Drain. Or maybe I forget what the third trap was. Anyway, I passed turn, no monsters on my field. On their draw phase, I flipped Gozen match, right? So because he had Baron and Chi, they're different attributes, one of them would have to clear the field. He chained Baron Lafleur's negate to Gozen match, and then I chained Solemn Strike, pay 1,500, kill Baron, and now he's stuck with Chi, which is a light monster, and he literally can't summon anything else, right? He attacks me to 2,800, and then on my turn, I Red Eyes Fusion. And then it was just game from there. Like, he couldn't do anything. Like, once I got Dragoon and Gozen match on the field, the game was completely over. So that was nice. So yeah, I won going second, even though I apparently like running all these traps or whatever, going first cards, according to random angry Discord users who don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, my auto lose while going second deck won both games going second. So anyway, so that was the first thing. So I opened 1-0. Match 2, I was against a Speedroid deck. I lost the die roll and went second game 1, which I won. Because he brought out his Crystal Wing, whatever dragon, not the level 8 one that has a monster negate, but the level 10 one, which came out in Synchrostorm, that had he has a spell trap negate, and it has another effect which says, if a monster effect is activated, you can chain, increase its attack by the monster's attack, and it becomes unaffected by activated monster effects, right? So yeah, game 1 I beat him because I just went Anaconda to Dragoon, and I set Solemn Strike. Again, Solemn Strike the MVP card of the tournament. I don't know. It was a very good card. So I would say, yeah, I would say let's right here. Yeah, MVP card was definitely Solemn Strike. Because his level 10 synchro is 3,000 attack, and Dragoon is also 3,000 attack, and it has the effect where it can increase its attack after a monster effect is activated. So then I opened Dragoon, I cleared his board except for the synchro monster, set Solemn Strike, went into his turn. he tries to combo off and go into some more Speedroid stuff, and then I negate with Dragoon, and then he tries to use his Synchro monster. I think it's like Clear Synchro Wing or whatever, level 10 one, whatever it's called. Uh, and he tries to use that effect to increase his monster attack so he can attack Dragoon, and then Solemn Strike kills it, and then he scoops, right? Game 2 was interesting. So he won. Sorry, I won game 1, going second, and I thought that he would make me go second again, so I side decked for going second, right? I put in Dark Ruler no more, I put in Nibiru, took out like obviously Gozen match was not good in this game, so unfortunately, here's one thing I'll say is Gozen match not good against Speedroid because they're all wins, but Rivalry of Warlords would have been good, right? And in fact, I forget a previous time I played Speedroids, I did hit them with Rivalry of Warlords. So yeah, I'm just gonna write that down as like a note, because I made the point in one of my last videos to say that Gozen will be better than Rivalry in this format. But against Speedroid, Rivalry is actually better because all their monsters are machines, like their base monsters, and then all their synchros are like dragons. So yeah, Rivalry would have actually been much better. So I sided out Gozen because yeah, does nothing in Speedroid. So he actually made me go first, which was a surprise to me. And I didn't have a great opening hand. In fact, I drew none of my side deck cards, so I guess it didn't really matter what I side decked. But my ending board was not great. I think it was just Dragoon with... what else did I have other than Dragoon? It was not a great opening board. I think it was like just Dragoon. Yeah, I don't know. Dragoon was the main thing of that board. Um, or was it? I might have also had a Solemn Strike, yeah. But yes, but then when he went second, I was able to play through his board, so I stopped him from setting up his board on his turn. On my turn, I summoned Dark Magician. So basically, I attack, right? I get him down to 500 LP, right? So he was down to 500 life points in this game. Yeah, so he went down to 500 LP, whereas I still had like 5,500. Oh yeah, because he did like burn me for 500 on his turn, which I forgot how, and then because I used Solemn Strike, I went down 55. I forget exactly. Yeah, I lost some life points, but then later did end up with 5,500, and he was at 500 life points. So if I had 500 more damage, I would have won. But then on his turn, he was able to bounce Eternal Soul back to my hand, so Dark Magician went away. He got my Dragoon in the game, and then he used triple tactic talents to take my 4,000 attack Dragoon, and then he summoned a monster that had 1,800 attack, and then he just attacked for game. So I think he kind of lucked out because I think he topped that triple tactics talent. Like, he didn't have it, and yeah, it became a useless. Sorry, it became a very useful card because it let him just take my Dragoon and attack for game, and I lost my Dark Magician, so I couldn't body block the attack. So that was close. He definitely lucked out. And then after game 2 finished, time was called. So it was a long match because like Speedroid combos take forever. And a lot of times I had to stop to read his cards because I didn't know what they did. And a lot of them have graveyard effects that I also had to read to make sure that I was timing my negates at the right time. But anyway, I definitely felt that if I was able to go to game 3, side in my going first cards, because I didn't have them in game 2, I think I could have won. Like, I would put in Summon Limit, I would put in, like, all my Solemn cards. Like, I don't think he would have been able to win game 3 if we had actually had the time. So this ended up in a tie. So it's okay. Like, ties are not bad in Swiss format. They're like better. They're definitely better than losses. Anyway, yeah. So I want to say Solemn Strike was the MVP here. Match 3, I was against Sky Striker. I won a die roll. Went first in game 1. I won that, and then I went second in game 2. So the MVP card in this one was definitely. Let me see where I have room to write that. MVP card was Eagle Booster. So remember I mentioned how I run the Sky Striker package, but I'd run it with the Eagle Booster card. Yeah, this card single-handedly won me the second game. So in the first game, I opened Dragoon with a bunch of back row. and he's a Sky Striker. It's funny. So he's a Sky Striker player that runs the Destroyer Phoenix package. And it was very clear that he was not experienced with it because I don't know if you know, but Destroyer Phoenix is a monster that goes in the main monster zone, and none of the Sky Striker spells can be activated while you have a monster in the main monster zone. So I remember there was a time where like he had Destroyer Phoenix or whatever. I had Dragoon. He had like he tried to use Engage, and I'm like, you can't. And he's like, well, why not? Like, are you negating? I'm like, no. But if you read the card, it says you can only play this while you have no monsters in your main monster zone. And he actually had a Destroyer Phoenix, and he had like one other card like set or something. But like, yeah, he literally could not play his Sky Striker spells. And since Destroyer Phoenix was just weaker than Dragoon, I would just like, I just ran over him, right? Like, there's nothing he could do to stop me because Destroyer Phoenix cannot take out Dragoon. And basically, if he doesn't want to get burned for like 2,500 attack, like damage, he has to use Destroyer Phoenix to kill itself before Dragoon has time to resolve the pop, right? So yeah, this match was definitely a case study in like which is better, Destroyer Phoenix or Dragoon, and Dragoon came out on top. Dragoon was definitely the better boss monster. So maybe I would say like Dragoon was also MVP card. Game 2 was funny because he set up a standard Sky Striker board. He ended on Shizuku. He set what was it called? He set Widow Anchor, right, which is the one that negates monster effects. And yeah, I opened the the Sky Striker package, right? And I opened, I think, Magician's Rod. So like I use Hornet Drones. I use Engage, get Hornet Drones. Hornet Drones summons a token. Uh, and then the token goes into Kagari. Kagari grabs back Engage. I summon Magician's Rod. Sorry, I do Engage again. I grab Eagle Booster. I summon Magician's Rod. Try to search a Dark Magician spell. He Effect Veilers me. And then I link Rod and Kagari into Anaconda. I activate Anaconda. He tries to use Widow Anchor to negate Anaconda, and then I chain Eagle Booster and negate that. So I brought out Dragoon, and I just ran over him. So yeah, Eagle Booster. If y'all aren't running it with the Sky Striker package, I absolutely recommend it. It is amazing. Every time I have it, I get Dragoon. Like, Dragoon will come out. Like, it's so good at defending. Because there's just so many, like, everyone at my locals runs, like, Effect Veiler, Imperm. And, like, yeah, you're more likely to get negated from Anaconda than to just playing Red Eyes Fusion. So, yeah, Eagle Booster just protects your Anaconda. Like, this is kind of a no-brainer, in my opinion. Yeah, so I won both games, 2-0. Match 4, I went against a Drytron player. I lost a die roll, went second game 1, where I lost because he set up Herald and, Dragoon. Not Dragoon, sorry. This was a Drytron player that actually ran Destroyer Phoenix. He set up Herald and Destroyer Phoenix. And I actually had a good hand. I had, like, Rod, Souls, I had Red Eyes Fusion, I had a bunch of stuff, right? I had the Hornet Drones. So I had many ways to get to Dragoon, right? But the problem is, like, the Herald is just so many negates that it didn't matter. Like, I played Red Eyes Fusion. He negates, right? Uh, he negates with Eva, right? I play Call by the Grave to negate his Eva. He negates Call by the Grave with Herald of Orange Light, right? Like, or maybe it was actually with Herald of Ultimateness, right? So Red Eyes Fusion gets negated. I, use Souls to bring out Dark Magician, right? I try to go into and I summon Magician's Rod, gets negated, right? I go into Hornet Drones, right? Like, Kagari, negate. So, I was able to literally force him to use Herald of Ultimateness to burn through his entire hand, right? I got him, so, all my plays, like, he had a handful of, like, fairies or whatever, and, like, Eva or whatever that searches 2 more fairies. So, I got him to use his entire hand just to stop me from playing. And then my turn was over because I had no other plays, right? I had 6 cards to start my turn. I was able to force a lot of these negates, but I still was not able to end on Anaconda Dragoon, unfortunately. Like, if I had one more play, maybe I could have done it, but... So I had a good hand. It was just that Drytron sets up so many negates, it's just, like, nothing I could do about it, right? Going second, I won because I went first. Sorry, second game I won because I went first. I set up Summon Limit Dragoon. So MVP of this match was Summon Limit. because yeah, like I bring out Dragoon. I set summon limit called by the grave. I think I also have Eternal Soul, and I pass. He summons his Truth Drytrons Alpha and Zeta. Immediately summon limit, and now he's fucked. Like he literally nothing can do. He tries to delay the match as much as possible. He tries to like, uh, use on the following turn use Intis to like pop summon limit. I have called by the grave on Intis, right? He tries to use Destroyer Phoenix. Like he's just not able to get over the summon limit. I just protect it so well with my Dragoon, and then he just scoops. Match 5. So at this point, I'm like, what, 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. Oh, sorry. Game 3, I lost because he went first. I did not open any of my going second cards. I put in Dark Ruler no more. I put in Nibiru. It didn't matter. I just didn't get them, right? I got none of my going second cards against the Drytron. So once again, he sets up Herald and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. My hand is worse than it was in game 1. So he just has way too many gates, and I just scoop, right? Match 5 against Eldlich Trap. I lost a die roll. I go second game 1. I win. I go second game 2. I still win. So the MVP card here. Wait, what was it? So in game 1, it was Dragoon because Eldlich Traps, they don't run Ash Blossom. The only negate they have for Dragoon is either Solemn Judgment, which they run 3 of, or technically they could also use Imperial Order to stop Red Eyes Fusion, and they could also technically use Skill Drain. Chain to Red Eyes Fusion to basically make it so that Dragoon is not a problem monster, and they can deal with it. So he does not out my Dragoon in game 1, so I win that. In game 2, he opens Imperial Order and Skill Drain. So I'm trying Red Eyes Fusion. He actually does Skill Drain. I don't know why he didn't Imperial Order, but maybe he was just saving it. So I bring out Dragoon, but it can't use its effects, right? It's negated. And then he outs it like next turn, like with Eldlich. Like he brings out Eldlich at 3,500 attack. He just attacks it, right? But then I end up winning because I have the Dogmatika package. Yeah, so I would say the Dogmatika stuff was pretty MVP here. So MVP of this match was Dogmatika engine because or maybe was it Dogmatika? Yeah, it was. Yeah, because after he outs my Dragoon, I'm just and he went into Lina the Light Charmer, so I'm able to like bring out Ecclesia and then Fleur de Lis, and then like I use Dogmatika Punishment, I think, to pop Eldlich and his skill drain. I eventually he eventually outs his own Imperial Order. He uses Eldlich to send Imperial Order to graveyard, right? But yeah, I do remember ending the game because I had the Dogmatika cards and I had an Eternal Soul with Dark Magician graveyard. So yeah, I would say the Dogmatika engine definitely shined in that matchup. Okay, so I finished the the 5 rounds of Swiss ranked 5th, right? So remember, they take the top 8, they rank all the players by their records, take the top 8, and then they go to eliminator. So yeah, 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie, and the loss was just honestly like it's against Drytron. It's probably the best deck, and I lost the die roll. So going second against Drytron is brutal. Like unless you have one of those cards that shuts them down, like Draw Lockbird or like maybe a Nibiru, but they can technically play around it, or Dark Ruler no more or something. Like yeah, it's really hard to like crack a Drytron board. But I think in this Speedroid match, I definitely could have ended. I definitely could have won that if we went to game 3. So I think I could have ended 4 wins and 1 loss, which might have put me in the top like 3 or 4. Because I think there was only one undefeated player, if I recall, whereas everyone else was like in the top 4 or were 4-1. So anyway, went to quarterfinals, the elimination round. Match against Sky Striker Destroyer Phoenix, another deck. So this match was interesting because it was against former YCS champion Jabrian Chen. So it was, so I don't know if y'all followed the YCS, but back in 2019, when Sky Striker was like an actual good deck, yeah, look up YCS champion Brian Chen. This guy, he goes to my locals, and he does play Sky Striker. So sometimes, like, I've played this guy at my locals a total of 4 times now, and I've won 2 of those 4 matches. One of the matches I won against his Sky Striker deck a few weeks ago. I was playing Subterror. This time he was running his Sky Striker deck, but he ran the Destroyer Phoenix package, which I did not expect, but I guess I should have. Dude, everyone at my locals was running Destroyer Phoenix. Like, this card was all over my locals. Everyone had it, right? Like, everyone was running it. So even though I lost the die roll, he made me go first. And it's funny because like in the first game one I won very easily. Uh, oh yeah, MVP card of this match was definitely Solemn Judgment. And then I would say honorable mention was Gozen match. So let me write this down. Oh yeah, speaking of, I also honorable mention on Gozen match up here in this Sky Striker match as well. Let's see, yeah, honorable mention Gozen match. Yeah, actually, forgot. So this the game where I played against this other Sky Striker player here. Um, that's like when I did Ego Booster and I got my Dragoon out, I also set Gozen match, and on his turn he literally couldn't do anything. Yeah. So yeah, Gozen match, Dragoon, instant scoop for this guy. Yeah. So let's go to this one. So in the game one, I get Dragoon, I get Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment and Eternal Soul, right? So I have 3 interruptions. He tries to play through them. He tries to uh, what is it? He baits out my Dragoon negate. I negate something. He uses Solemn. He uses what is it? The Forbidden Droplet. He actually sends a trap. He uses Forbidden Droplet to send a trap card to the graveyard, which is unlike, which is usually doesn't happen. Usually, someone uses Forbidden Droplet. They send a monster or a spell. Very rarely do they actually send a trap card. But he actually sent a trap card because he's a good player. Like, it made sense for him to send a trap card because he saw that I had like 3 back row, and he's played me before. He knows I run Solemn cards, right? So I wanted to change Solemn Judgment to Forbidden Droplet. I just couldn't because he sent a trap card, right? So Droplet cannot be negated by card types that are sent to the graveyard. So he negates my Dragoon. He tries to bring out Destroyer Phoenix. He brings out Destroyer Phoenix. He tries to use Destroyer Phoenix to pop my Dragoon once because it's negated. I Solemn Strike it. And then later he tries to use I think he tries to use Sky Striker Afterburner to pop Dragoon and a back row, and then I have Solemn Judgment, right? So Solemn Judgment saved my ass in game one, and then when I went to the second turn, like I just reestablished my, I had Eternal Soul still. I cycled back Rod. I think I used Rod to get Dark Magical Circle. At that point, he could see the writing on the wall. He just scooped, right? Game two, he made me go first in game two. But I was actually prepared for that. So the thing is, when I play against Sky Striker, I always side deck in a way that like my side deck cards are good going first or second, right? So what did I side deck? So against Sky Striker, I always side deck in Harpies and Cyclones. I always side in Secret Village, and I always side in make sure like Gozen match, or in the previous cases I used to run Rivalry and Solemn Judgment. So I always have these against Sky Strikers going first or second, because Dark Ruler against Sky Striker doesn't matter. Nibiru doesn't do much either. But like, yeah, these other cards, like, they're good going first or second against Sky Striker. So even though he probably thought I was siding for going second, I was actually just siding for the Sky Striker matchup, which has cards that are good going first or second. So he made me go first, and I did open I opened Solemn Judgment, 2 Solemn Judgments, Gozen match, and I think the only monster I had was trying to remember. Yeah, I opened Magician Souls, right? Magician Souls sent Dark Magician to summon itself, and then I used Magician Souls to send 2. Oh, I opened Dark Magical Circle. I was going first, right? I sent Dark Magical Circle to the graveyard and 1 other card to draw 2 because I wanted to see if I could fish for either, Rod or maybe Ecclesia or something. I didn't get it, so basically I tribute summoned Magician Souls to summon Dark Magician Girl. I set 2, Solemn Judgments, and I set Gozen match. On his turn, draw phase, I flip Gozen match, right? and I have 2 Solemn Judgments. So he summons Pancratops, tries to use Pancratops, because he wants to pop Gozen match. But I use one of my Solemn Judgments on his Pancratops, so he cannot pop. Then he uses Widow Anchor to negate Dark Magician Girl. But also he was trying to get like just Widow Anchor in the graveyard so he could use, because he did have Afterburner, right? And then he used Afterburner to try to pop Dark Magician Girl and my Gozen match, but I Solemn Judgment that, so he loses that. But then on the next turn, I attack with Dark Magician Girl, and then on the next turn he has another Widow Anchor, and then he just takes Dark Magician Girl and attacks me for game. Because at this point I use 2 Solemn Judgments, I'm at 2,000 life points. He just uses Widow Anchor to take control of Dark Magician Girl and then attacks me for game. So I will say, yeah. So I did not get Dragoon in this game. If I had, if I had like Red Eyes Fusion, if I had Dragoon on the field with 2 Judgments and Gozen match, he would have insta scooped. Like there would have been nothing he could have done, right? But alas, I ended with Dark Magician Girl. However, if I was able to end my board with Dark Magician instead of Dark Magician Girl, I probably would have won. Why? Because Widow Anchor only works on effect monsters, right? So if he can't play Widow Anchor to send it to the graveyard, then that means he can't have. That means that he would not have been able to take control of my Dark Magician, and I would have probably had. And he would not have been able to have enough spells in the graveyard to try to use Afterburner to pop Gozen match. So I probably would have saved a Solemn Judgment. So yeah, it was an unfortunate hand. It was slightly bricky. But if I had like 1 card difference, I would have won it, definitely. And then game 3, I go first, but yeah, I was not able to get Dragoon either. I used Red Eyes Fusion, and he ashed it. And if you recall the video I made last night where you can use, if you get Ash from Red Eyes Fusion, you can still make a play with Souls and Magician Souls and Eternal Soul. So that was the game where this happened. Like, I had Magician Souls in my hand. I'm like, all right, I'll send Dark Magician to graveyard, set up Eternal Soul, and hopefully I can win through this. But alas, he ended up getting his Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer just pops Eternal Soul. So yeah, I ended up losing. And then he, like, on the next turn, I didn't have anything else, and then he just goes into access code and just OTKs me, right? So yeah, unfortunate. Like, I would say if there was like 1 card difference in these 2 games, I would have won, right? So because of these losses, my going first record, like, win rate shot down. Anyway, so that was it. I ended in top 8, technically rank 5 from the Swiss. Got my 3 packs, like, not bad. And then I would say that's so here are my stats. So actually, my die roll, I lost 80% of my die rolls. Like, it was brutal how many die rolls I lost. Total of 6 matches, 14 games, 6 going first games, 8 going second games. Right, losing so many dice rolls, you expect to have more going second games. Overall win rate, I won 3 of my 6 matches, though I only lost 2 of them because 1 was a tie, right? Overall win rate, and I still argue that like this should have been like 4 wins. Overall win rate, out of 14 games, I won 9 of them, so that's a 64% win rate. My going first win rate was 50%, and my going second win rate was 67%. So I won more going second, although I did play more going second. And my going first win rate was definitely screwed by this right here. So I think the reason he made me go first is because I think he main decked for going second, because he had like going second cards in his main deck, like Pancratops, Forbidden Droplet. Like, he had a lot of going second cards, right? So he was definitely prepared for going second, regardless of whether he won. But also, he was also YCS champion. He's a very smart player. Like, he'll bait you into thinking that you're gonna go second, so you side deck for that, and he'll just make you go first, which is a nice trick. Like, but if you know it's coming, you can prepare for that. So yeah, so my takeaways is that Dogmatika engine, very very good. I definitely liked it. I'll definitely continue to run it. Other takeaways. So I was surprised at how few Swordsoul decks there were, which made me think maybe I should switch back to Rivalry. Cause why is that? Because Gozen match against Drytron, not as good, right? I would say against Drytron, Rivalry is definitely better. Because, once they're in machines, like, you can lock them out of fairies. So they can't go into Ben 10, they can't go into Herald, they can't go into Diviner. So yeah, Rivalry is definitely better in the Drytron matchup. And then against Solemn Judgment, doesn't matter. Against Infinitrack, it doesn't matter. And although I will say against Dragon Link, Gozen is definitely better than Rivalry. Oh, also, Phantom Knights, which I didn't play. Rivalry is also better than Gozen here. Um, Eldlich Trap, doesn't matter. Mech Knights, I would actually argue that Mech Knights is Gozen better than Rivalry because I think their Mech Knights are all psychics, but they have different attributes. But like their links are obviously different attributes and types, so Rivalry can be good against Mech Knights because they can't go into their link summons, which are like the best part of their deck. So yeah, so I'd say Gozen is slightly better because Gozen stops like them having more than one Mech Knight as well. Um, yeah, Virtual World, there was only one. I would say Rivalry is a little better. So Rivalry goes in a bit. And I would definitely say, like, goes in better than Rivalry here. I might argue that in Tri-Brigade Gozen is better because it's literally impossible for them to go to Omen, whereas there may be some weird shenanigans they might use to go into Omen through Rivalry, but I don't know. So far, I would say even though Gozen was an MVP card or an honorable mention in a lot of these games, I would say maybe because there aren't that many Swordsols, and I saw 0 Fluenderies, right? Like, uh, and like Gozen match would have been good against Fluenderies. I saw 0 of them. Like, I'm not, I'm not entirely convinced yet that Gozen is strictly better than Rivalry, but I did feel like I never, other than Drytron, I felt like I never had a situation where Gozen was bad. Like, yeah, like Gozen can't do anything if I'm going second against Drytron, but if I'm going first, it'll do very little. Like they can't go into Destroyer Phoenix. Um, yeah, so if I had gone against these two matchups, PK and Drytron, I would have preferred Rivalry over Gozen going first, right? 100%. But it just never really came up. Like I didn't like brick on Gozen and be like, oh, I drew Gozen against Drytron. What do I do? Like no, this never actually happened. So, but if I had drawn it and be like, oh, I can't actually use this, like, or this doesn't do anything, then whatever. But yeah, I would say Speedroid. One of the games of Speedroid, I did draw a Gozen and I couldn't use it, even though if it was a rivalry, I would have been able to. So I don't know. I'm still willing to keep Gozen around to to um, play test some more, and then see if like there's more Swordsoul decks that start popping up. Because I mean, it is an expensive archetype. Like maybe people didn't run it because just didn't have the full core yet, and maybe with as time goes on, they'll start accumulating the deck cards they need, and then they'll start playing it more. So yeah, I'm gonna keep Gozen for now. Um, yeah, but one thing I will definitely say is I did not like the Schism or Shaddoll package. It was not good. The one time I saw it 2 times. Once against Swordsoul, it was a brick, did nothing because he already set up his board. I went second. I hard drew Schism, like super useless. Like I wish that Schism was a Solemn Judgment instead, or even just a third Gozen. Like I don't know, drawing that Schism felt really bad. And then in the match against Sky Striker, I also try to use Schism, but then they just use Destroyer Phoenix to force it to pop Schism. So it was like, well, I guess you're still gonna play. Like, and then because he popped Schism on in response to I couldn't get out Winda. And like, let's say I did get out Winda, he would just use Destroyer Phoenix to attack Winda. Like, yes, it was not good. I like literally 100% of game twos, I sided out Schism, and then I never put it back in. Like, it was just not a good card. Like, I felt like if I'm going like, I had Schism in my main deck. And then, granted I went second a lot, so maybe that's why this perspective is a little skewed. Like game ones I went second. Yeah, so that card like kind of sucks going second. Like I'd rather have had like a solemn card or something else instead. But yeah, so I feel like there's just too many outs to Winda in my locals. And in fact, I was surprised. I saw no Dogmatika, Shaddoll, Invoke decks at all. Normally my locals is packed with them, but I guess they were just playing like the other stuff because I did not see any. Like there's usually a lot. right? It's like usually the top two most popular archetypes at my locals historically have been Dragon Link and Dogmatika and Shaddoll. Like, and I just didn't see. I saw one Dragon Link and like no Dogmatika and Shaddoll at all. So yeah, so I did go first against Sky Striker in game one here. I opened Schism and it just didn't do anything. He just popped it with Destroyer Phoenix and moved on. Like, uh, there's just more ways to out Winda. Like, Infinite Impermanence outs it, Droplet outs it, Dark Rune no more outs it. You can just attack it, right? Like, there's just way too many outs for Winda. Whereas, like, compare that to a summon limit. What can out summon limit? Back row clear, right? And most people don't main deck back row clear. Like, and even if they do, there's more cards that stop front row and like monster effects than there are cards that stop back row, at least in the current meta anyway. So yeah, I definitely yeah. So Schism almost always got sided out game two. It was just just didn't do anything. Like the few times I got it, it just did nothing for me, right? So yeah, and also like yeah, Apkalon and Winda just taking up these slots in my extra deck that I'd rather have something else. Oh, another thing, yeah. So I don't know if you'll notice, I took out Link Karibo, which felt really bad because I wanted to have had Link Karibo so I could link away souls. Like there was one game, I think it was against a Speedroid player. I went Magician Souls, and then I had Fleur de Lis in my hand, right? So I needed to link Magician Souls into a monster, a Link monster, and then Fleur de Lis summons, and I make Anaconda, right? So normally I would have linked Magician Souls into Link Ryuo, but because I didn't have it, I had to use Artemis to link Magician Souls away. So yeah, so you can link away Magician Souls with Artemis, even though you'd rather save it for to link away, Dark Magician. Sorry, Magician's Rod. So yeah, I used Artemis to link that away, and then I brought forward Fleur de Lis and then went in Anaconda. So it's less ideal. And because I didn't have Link Karibo, I had to use Link Spider on the Hornet Drones token, which feels bad because I want to have Link Spider and Imduk available to link away Dark Magician, not to link away a freaking Sky Striker token. So yeah, I definitely very much missed Link Karibo. And I ran one Entis, which did work. I never felt I needed more than one Entis this game or in this locals, but I felt I could have maybe had another Entis, right? Like, so yeah, I would say I would take these out and put back in Link Karibo and Entis. Like I took out Dark Magician Dragonite and the Dark Magicians to fit all this. I would not put those back in because I'm not running Secrets of Dark Magic. If I was, I would keep them in. So I would say going forward, I'm gonna just take out the Shaddoll stuff. I don't think it's good. So goodbye. And I would actually move this Solemn Judgment back up to my main deck. I like having Solemn Judgments as much as possible. This card is amazing. So yeah, let's put Link Karibo back in here, and I'll put in a second Elder Entity. Just gives me more flexibility with more pops. But also, if I'm against a Dogmatika Maximus and they make me send two cards from my extra deck, I'll just send two Entis for two pops, right? That didn't come up today because I didn't play any Invoke Shaddoll players. But yeah, and then I have one more slot on my side deck. I'm thinking about putting in the third Gozen match here. Oh no, sorry. Actually, I'm gonna put in Pancratops. Yeah, Loza convinced me. I've seen a lot of versatile uses of Pancratops lately, and I think just having this card for a going second option is like really good because it threatens two cards on the field, right? Like you summon it, it's a 2600 beater. You can attack into them. Most boss monsters are 2500 or less, right? A lot of them are. Like let's say you're against an Appaloosa with three negates, like it's 2400. Summon Pancratops, attack Appaloosa, right? You just took out three negates, and then after you're in the main phase or whatever, you can distribute this card to pop another card. So Pancratops is a very good card. I'm surprised I went this long without running it. Props to Loza for reminding me that it existed, and it definitely I can see it coming in handy in the future. So yeah, I think yeah. So this is the deck profile I'm gonna run. One thing I will say about the Dogmatika package is that there were plenty of game twos and threes where I was going first, and I just sided out in Nadir serving. I just took it out and to put in like more floodgates or whatever. Like I'll take out if like against a Drytron player, yeah, just take out three Nadir servers, put in three summon limits, like or like and then keep everything else. Um, Maybe I took out Gozen. Yeah, I took out Gozen. Yeah, against the Drytron, I took out Gozen, put in Terraforming Secret Village, right? Because it's better. And then I kept all my Solemn. Yeah, so One thing I liked about the Dogmatika package is you don't really need Nadir Servant. Nadir Servant is a good going first or second card. It's like a generically good at both. But like once you establish, all right, like game two, I'm gonna be going first, or game two, I'm gonna be going second. Yeah, I could just side this out for just better cards, like because even these monsters by themselves are good, right? Like you have, both of these can help you go into Anaconda. They search each other, right? Like this searches punishment. Um, yeah, so even games where I sided out Nadir Servant, the remaining Dogmatic cards were still useful, right? Like I never bricked on any of these cards, and definitely not on Nadir Servant. So yeah, so if you do run the Dogmatica package, don't be afraid to side out Nadir Servant. I know Loza did a review video against I think it was Team Samurai X1's Dark Magician deck profile where he had Nadir Servant in the side deck. And Loza was like, "Oh, why would you side deck Nadir Servant?" Because I like this package is good going first or second, like these three cards. Whereas Nadir, like, I think Team Samurai X1 was copying Pack's profile where he put Nadir Servant in the side deck because Pack was saying that Nadir Servant gets Ash too often. I think that was the argument. I forget, like, or like you don't want to use it into a board full of negates because it's just never going to go through. So he decided. I forget exactly what the argument was, but I can understand siding out Nadir Servant. I still would want to keep it in the main deck because, like I said, it's generically good going first and second. And it's like, oh, what would these Nadir Servants be if I wasn't playing the Dogmatika package? Well, maybe Triple Tactics Talents, right? Like, notice I don't have Triple Tactics Talent anymore in my deck. Like that Triple Tactics is really good, but I feel like Nadir is a little bit more versatile than Triple Tactics, right? So I don't know. For now, I like it. I did not have a bad time with it at locals. I'm gonna keep running it in main deck, but I do side it out like between games. Uh, I would actually say like Nadir Servant is almost always sided out, even though it's useful in game one. Game two and three, I would just usually rather have these other cards, right? But if you don't know how the dice roll is going to go, if you're going to go first or second, Nadir Servant is great. Um, so yeah, I think those. Yeah, this is the change I would make for the fall for locals next week, and I think I would have a lot better success. Yeah, I feel like Pankrotop's just an additional going second card. Plus, it's an extender, right? It's a body that can go into Anaconda. I can see it being really useful. Yeah, and then move up a Solemn Judgment. Like, yeah, the times I had Shaddoll Schism in my hand, I'm like, I'd rather this just be a Judgment. Or even like when I search it through Apcolone, it's like I would rather just have a Solemn Judgment instead. Like, cause he ended up going Destroyer Phoenix and like popping my Schism. If that was a Solemn Judgment, I could just Solemn Judgment Fusion Destiny, right? Or just like let him go into it and then force him to waste a pop on Solemn Judgment. I don't know. Like I just feel like I'd rather have this than Schism, and Schism just didn't do anything for me yesterday. Like people in my locals are packed full of imperms and droplets. So yeah, I just feel like Schism with Winda just not that good. Whereas Summon Limit, like I could get away with Summon Limit a lot. Like I'll have this card and they won't be able to get around it. So, yep. So this is the deck profile I'm going to be running with for now. Obviously, like the biggest changes are going to come in February when Battle of Chaos comes out. But yeah, definitely convinced about Nadir Servant and the Dogmatic package. I was skeptical before. Lozo hyped it up a lot, but I'm like, yeah, after trying it, I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, single copy of Punishment. I never needed more than one. But also Punishment locks you out of extra deck for a turn, right? So it's like, I think you only need this one because, it's searchable through Ecclesia, which is searchable through Nadir. So I never felt I needed more than one. Um, and then, let's see what else. Yeah, Sky Striker. For you Dark Magician players running Sky Striker, please, please, please run Eagle Booster. You will not regret it. It's such a good card. So many many times in the past, not just yesterday, it saved my Anaconda from being negated or like whatever. Please have it. And also, if you watch Loza's video, Upstart Goblin, super good card. Also run this. So yeah, if you took anything away from my video, run Eagle Booster, run Dogmatika, Shaddoll package overrated, and run Upstart. Oh, and Solemn Judgment underrated. I think even Loza mentioned in his video, like, if you end your board with Dragoon Solemn Judgment, you pretty much win. Because, like, their main outs for Dragoon are big spells. Like, Dark Ruler no more, Forbidden Dropout, or even Access Code, and guess what? Solemn Judgment stops all of them. It's just it's so good. It's like unbelievably good, like crazy how good this card is. Yeah, and I still run at this ratio at 5, so at least I usually see one of these per game. All right, so let's save this, and yeah, I'll keep you all updated if I make any other major changes. But yeah, for now I'm keeping Gozen in main, and then yeah, Link Haribo was sorely missed. Like I had played Link Haribo for so long, I didn't realize how much I missed it until I didn't have it. I'm like, oh man, I wish I had Link Haribo here, right? Because I don't want to waste Artemis or Link Spider on like, you know, on like suboptimal plays, like on like Souls or like the Sky Tracker token. Link Haribo can do both, right? Oh, one turn, you can link it Sky Tracker goes to graveyard. Next turn, link it to like Magician's Souls. Gives you like protection against an attack or defends your Dragoon. It's just it's so good. Like I didn't realize how much I would miss it until I took it out. But yeah, absolutely missed it. Great card. Okay. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all learned something, and I hope you all can appreciate that like even this deck with all these traps, right? I don't run hand traps. I only hand trap our Nibirus, which I side deck in for specific matchups. I'm still able to play very nicely going second, and in fact, at this locals, I surprisingly had a higher win rate going second than going first. Although the first, I will attribute it to bad luck, right? Um, so yeah, because like I said, like in this Sky Striker game, I did not get Dragoon, and then in the game up here against Speedroid, he luckily top deck a triple taxes and just took my Dragoon, and I didn't have any other protection. So anyway, all right. Thank you for watching, and take care.